administration spend. You know, I mean, $60 million, $100 million. So how many? Even the Board of Ed, by their own admission, is not going to be able to spend $50 million that they've been allocated for the school repairs. They just don't have the time to get the bids out, to get the contracts in place, to get the work done.
That's the issue on the business.
Huh?
That's the issue on the business.
Going to spend a certain amount of money.
So,
Go ahead. Well, I was going to ask if, do you have a time frame that you think would be reasonable? If June 1st isn't enough time? Is July 1, August 1? Because December is obviously not.
Why? Simple work.
Because the year's over.
Yeah, but it didn't.
And then you have
I don't-
6 months till, you know, to do the work that you were going to do during that work.
No, because the CIP, again, I go back to the 60 million that had been in previous years. And that was the whole point. That was my whole.
I'm just asking.
Yeah.
Is
I don't
there
think-
another date? Because
No.
you're saying from April 15th to June 1st.
I think.
Is not a sufficient amount of time. So from April 15th to July 1st, April 15th to August 1st, you know, we're looking for, you know, a time frame in order that it can pass so that the funds can be available to be spent. I think that's what the intent is. So,
Right.
so 6 weeks isn't enough. It's from 4/15 to June 1 not enough time. Is 3 months enough time?
It may or may not be. I would, again, I don't, I'll go back to, you
Well,
know,
in your experience,
I'll go
3
back.
months be enough time.
I'll go back to, it's a good thing we need 5 votes, because that increases our pay. And if you can't get 5 votes, no matter how much time, then it's probably not something that the taxpayers are down to want, because 5 of their elected officials said no.
but wouldn't it, even in your explanation of the 5 votes, you said that there wasn't 5 votes there for this number.
Right.
Might there be 5 votes for a lesser number, or a lesser number, or a lesser number? And isn't that part of, again, the discipline and the structure that works here? So we set if there were a deadline of, if there is one, a deadline
Right.
of June 1st, I keep
Right.
coming back. There is a
There
deadline.
isn't a chart.
Okay.
We actually are aware of that.
But there is a deadline. Wouldn't that force somebody to get on the table and make a decision about something? And what we're saying, what we're talking about is, should there or should not there be a point at which someone makes a decision and stands up for their decision? And we're saying if you do this, it forces the 2 branches to get together and make a decision. Is there a need for that? And part of what could be implied from what you said, particularly in response to our question, was no on the capital budget. No, we don't need to have any time frame. We could do this at any point, at any time. There really doesn't need to be any discipline about that process with respect to time. That's hard to fathom, particularly those of us who come from business background. That it's hard to fathom that there should not be any discipline of a decision around this with respect to time. I mean, I'll just say as an example, if I knew that there was $60 million that hadn't been spent in a year prior, and I wanted to spend $90 million in this year, that means I'm saying we can spend $150 million, or if we can only spend 90, then I only need 30 more. I mean, it's pretty simple for me, in my mind, to line this stuff up. And so it would force a body to make a decision. Are you spending 150 therefore now? Is 60 for less than 90 for this year? Are you spending 90 total? And you only need 30 from this budget to spend the other 60. I mean, but it forces you to say, this is what we think we need to do. And that's all that's being proposed here is make a decision. Don't just simply drag it on. First off, again, don't just pass by the current structure on the list. Let's pass by that and make a decision in terms of what you want to do in this coming fiscal year. And if you're saying the time frame is not enough, then as Gene was saying, if it's a month enough, the month more, is that enough time to make a decision? It's 2 months, it's 3 months. We probably have, I should say, we'd like to know what that time frame is to have those things really well.
Well,
I struggle with it being
the
unlimited.
question presumes that you have to have a CIP every year. And I think that's the real question. You have to have a CIP every year. And the answer is no. Nor should you.
But by putting it currently and making it clear, you by definition have to make a decision No, not simply
Okay.
not getting a vote. That's all we're saying, is that if this passed, what it would mean if you didn't think we needed to have that here, three of you vehemently never support it, but also understand the consequences of not supporting it, which would mean also not having an operating budget.
Yeah,
How
that-
strongly,
that-
but that's the decisions you make all the time. You make
No,
judgments-
I would never,
Oh,
I think the
you
link.
make judgments like that right now.
Yeah.
Because if everyone got everything they needed, the budget would be twice the size that it is now. The operating budget. So
Right.
you already today make decisions on how much of this is gonna go through and how much of that's gonna go through. You're already doing that. You just call it one side of the budget and the other side. If we said today, just make it one budget, and a portion of it was capital and a portion of it was operating, you'd make your decisions. You're already making that decision right now. You're already doing it every single year, making choices of what you're willing to live with and not live with, give and take of operating. All we're trying to say is proposing the idea that's out there, again, I need to say strongly, we haven't voted on it as being on the ballot. The idea out there is, should there be some discipline or this additional level of discipline to that? And if not this, you have a proposal for something else, or Chuck simply said, no, don't do this, but he then threw out something else about how fast you have to draw down the money,
Yeah.
because you have to currently draw it all down, you draw it down over time, that kind of stuff. But other than that, he said, no, I don't have another idea, just don't do this. And so we're asking, is there another idea out there that brings a little bit more discipline to the process?
It may in fact be something we haven't tonight.
That's fair. I appreciate the
I think
honesty.
it's an interesting discussion to have. I mean, presenting it a little bit differently. That's been too long already. There's a lot of,
And this
which
is
is what would
yeah.
happen if you had all the elected officials. You would get, this is an interesting exchange. It's an intelligent exchange of people from different backgrounds, business, political, whatever. Exchanging ideas.
Is there any restriction we're aware of from the budget process that if the city council or the mayor decided that they hadn't made the right call initially on the capital budget, for whatever reason, too much, too little, needs change, whatever, they could go back and amend that capital budget? Can they not?
Yes.
So, I guess part of the structure, at least my orientation of the structure is again, thinking of it on one hand, I postulated the blackmail, my word, the blackmail use of the budget.
Right.
From one side or the other. And by the way, let me be really blunt about that. You know, we have separation of powers. We all understand that. And so there's an inherent tension in every single constitutional type document. It's
As there
charter.
should be.
Right, and so it both requires the branches to work together, but yet they are co-equal branches. So there's only so far that the language goes, a constant struggle in terms of trying to figure out where the balance is. I guess one of the questions that I had was I was trying to really understand and see, was Chuck saying something that was real in terms of saying the zero budget, the zero capital budget? It sounded like, when I read this, that what he's saying is, look, if you force in the charter the capital budget to be adopted at the same time as the operating budget, you're just going to put us in a position where we're going to have to say, okay, it's a zero budget. Get 5 votes for that, and that'll be that. And I guess I'm sitting there and saying, okay, let's say that's what it was. Let's assume that that's what the city council felt it had to do in order not to violate its principles as to what the capital budget should be, and to not shut down the city's government by looking to hold the operating budget hostage. So then what vast internal plan would be upset if in fact there isn't a time pressure associated with adoption of the capital budget to say, and when everybody comes into an agreement, there'll be an amendment. At least it puts the government officials on record as having taken